Welcome to Fans of the Forge Knife or Death wrap-up for Season 2, Episode 6, Don't Fear the Recurve. We are going to get right down to business here. I didn't mention in the last recording that we did, it's just the two of us. No Sean.
I think they can see that.
They could probably figure that out if they're watching the video. Or
if you're in a podcast, eventually you'll realize you're not hearing Sean's voice.
Yeah, Sean called in sick, and so we hope he feels better soon, because he's going to be in a wedding this weekend, and he's
in that wedding?
Yeah.
I don't know why I knew that.
Yeah,
I should have known that.
We're just attending, yeah. But he's in the wedding, so we want him to feel better and ready to go for the wedding.
Good thing he stayed home to rest.
Yeah, he said he wanted to stay home, and I said, you do that. It makes sense. So we're going to wrap up this Knife or Death episode ourselves, and it was a pretty good one. You're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched it yet because we had open house at our school today, and so I just went from school, got the kid, went back to school, and now I'm going off of his notes.
You'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I will, because I still want to see it, even if I know what happens.
And you're going to have to make a pick without seeing it.
Okay.
You think you can do that once we go through these?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So for Knife Fight, the course was trifecta. Cut through each of the objects, releasing the torch to light the flames. This time it was bamboo, a thick piece of bamboo, big round piece of bamboo, green PVC pipe, and a rope. Then you moved on to box cutter. Cut the bottom off of the hanging box, releasing its contents before moving on. And then decapitator. You must slice completely through each target with one swing. And they had onions, celery, and pineapples. Thrice, you had to cut completely through all three ice blocks in order.
Do they say in order?
Goldberg says in order. I listened to it.
Okay.
And it is important in this episode, and you will come to find out. Then you moved on to Lifeline, which was the chicken, plastic tubing, and the fish. And then you end with kill shot. You must slice through all 6 randomly positioned ratchet traps with 3 swings. And then, if you get through that, plunge your blade into the tree stump or tap it or whatever.
Just get to the tree stump.
And so we start right off. I'll do the first one here, and then we'll go from there. The first competitor on this episode was Joel Rice, and he goes by @TreadSoft14 on Instagram. He is a practicer of Eskrima, Filipino martial arts, karate, and jiu-jitsu, and he showed up with his blade called the Techno SS. That was the name for it that he called it. And it was a Kamantuli Filipino designed blade with an extra long handle that allowed for multiple hand positions. So this thing was like, the handle was this long. You could grab it up at the top. It had finger like grooves, indentations at the top and below, and it had a long enough strap on it so that you could be grabbing it with one hand at the bottom if you wanted to, or having a two-handed grip on the thing for really putting some power in. It was a neat design. So Travis says, your blade cuts well, it has good edge geometry and sharpness, and it gives the user a bit of variation to swing from with the different handle positions. Some of the features of note is a 13-inch blade that's designed for chopping, but its short length may be a possible weakness. So, for trifecta, easily cuts through all 3, and he was doing like these circular motions with his swings that looked kind of weird, but it worked really well. Like, it gave him some good angles when he was going to cut down on these things, and had no issues. He moved on to box cutter, and he moved his hand farther down the handle to get some more extra power and leverage from that blade. And you could see it. The power was there. He was tearing through the first box. And on the second box, he had hit it, and the box was spinning. And Tulam said he's controlling the spinature of the box. Is that a word? Is spinature a word?
I feel like we've had this conversation. As soon as you say it, it's a word.
Well, I don't agree with that, but spinnaker seemed like a weird word. But anyway, he got through both.
You know what he means, though.
Yes, I do know what he means. So he got through both, moved on to decapitator. He got a penalty on those onions.
They're hard.
They're
short.
Onions are short and they're tough.
Yeah.
Like you can't they're not easy to slice through. You have to have a really, really sharp blade to get through onions. But the celery and pineapples, no problems. Although with the celery, he did kind of he was swinging like backswing, like backhand style with it.
Okay.
And when he swung at the celery, it curved up. Like he just caught the top of the celery. It was this close.
But got it.
He got it. He only got one penalty there. Then for thrice, he went out of order and got a penalty because of that. But otherwise, tore through the ice box. But because he skipped out of order, he got a penalty. Lifeline, he took time easily lining up his shots and cut right through. No issues. And then he moved on to kill shot. His first strike bounced off the straps. And then he was at a disadvantage moving forward because he had to then cut through all 6 straps with 2 strikes left.
Right.
He wasn't able to do it. So he got stopped by the ratchet straps. That's where his run ended. We move on to our next competitor.
Which was Ken Woodbury. Is that how we pronounce his name? Because that's how we say the town. Okay.
Yep.
Ken Woodbury, medieval combat sword fighting.
As his background.
Yes. He had a kukri-style blade. It was 18.5 inches with 15 inch of cutting surface and 8 inch of handle. Travis says that he's concerned about bending in the blade as he sees wiggles, and it's sharpened at a blunt edge.
It was a thick edge.
Mm-hmm. He would have liked to see a thinner edge, but the design gives almost an axe style section to that part of the blade. So it should be a phenomenal chopper.
Yep.
It had a double-handed grip, and the grip uses daisy rivet washers.
So yeah, it was interesting because it looks like a kukri, but the blade is super thick at the top. Like, you know how the kukris have the little belly part up at the top? It was thick like an axe head almost, but it wasn't nearly as sharp as anyone would really normally like it. But it was interesting. It was different.
So for trifecta, he took some time, but gets through all 3 with no penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Box cutter easily broke the first box, but seemed to be getting winded and losing control over the kukri. He sliced the box off its tether and got a penalty. Decapitator, penalty on the onions. Cut the other 2 with no problem. Thrice got a penalty for going out of order, but easily smashed through the ice. Lifeline, cuts through chicken with a beautiful upward angle slice. Easily cuts through the tube. Two Lamb loves his angles. And also cuts right through the fish. Then kill shot, got through 5 of the 6 straps.
So he also got stopped at kill shot. And did I say that he went out of order on his ice as well?
Yep.
So it's 2 in a row.
Am I making a prediction that no one actually finishes?
You can make that any prediction you want to.
I'm gonna find out soon enough.
Yeah, you're gonna find out. Do you think that's gonna happen here?
Sure, I'll go for it.
So our next contestant was Chad Remus, at Chad Remus on Instagram, and Remus spelled Remus. He brought a custom long sword. His sword was 4 feet long with a 3-foot blade. It was double-edged, and he made it himself. He also only had 3 to 4 months of forging experience when he made that sword.
Which may or may not be a thing. The other guy last episode that had the Gladius, that was his... He was learning how to move
metal. It was one of his first things. He had a year of experience. This guy only had about a quarter to a third of that amount of experience. And as you'll find out, Travis wasn't so hot on this sword. So he's asking a number of questions about the sword, and then he sees this guy has a guard, and it's just like a weird shaped piece of metal. And he goes, well, how is this guard attached? And Chad says, well, it was welded on. I welded on a piece of leaf spring as a guard. And Travis is like, gets this grave look on his face, and he goes, that is a big no-no for places where it is acceptable to weld a blade, where the guard is, as the weld, when you do something like that, significantly damages the steel, which is something Sean and I were discussing on one of our other wrap-ups last week. We didn't know how the weld affected the steel. Travis is saying, when you weld something like that to steel, it's significantly damaging the structure of the steel.
Because it warms it up and it changes the grain structure, right?
Exactly, yeah. So these are Travis's words verbatim. I can think of no example where welding a guard on a blade with an electric arc welder would be advisable, acceptable, recommended, or even safe.
Oof.
It does not make the cut, and Chad was sent home. It was disappointing because it looked like a neat blade, but it was concerning.
It's not going to be safe.
Then. It was not safe. Travis knew that would be the weak point and likely would break if something went wrong in the course, and you just couldn't let it through.
So our next contestant is Zach Gulick.
Yep.
At Gulicks_metal_work. He started out as an apprentice farrier and has been forging blades for 2 years. He brought a modified kukri with a 12-inch cutting blade with a single-handed grip. It is moderately heavy and moderately sharp, designed for chopping but not for slashing. Travis says the profile is a little odd. It would have had a lot of mass forward, but you have a lot of mass in this. I don't know what that says.
So Travis says it's got a lot of mass in this chingazo, and I had the closed captioning on at the time. The closed captioning just says, in this ... back here. Because he said, in this chingazo back here. It goes, in this ... back here. So it's probably not a real word.
Okay. Please correct us if we're wrong on that one. And Travis has concerns about the handle being dangerous to the user because there is some sharp edges and sharp deals.
His words, sharp edges and deals.
Okay. I should not ever try doing this wrap up without seeing the show again. My apologies, guys. Travis says it's not a pretty blade, but it cuts great. So, trifecta. Damn. Cut through the rope in one swing. Made it through bamboo and PVC easily. The box cutter takes some time to pick the right angles of attack and wrecks the first box, knocks the second box off the tether, and gets a penalty. Decapitator, Goldberg says, very poor effort when getting a penalty on the onions. Clears the celery and then doesn't take the time to set up a good swing. Pulls it a little short and misses the last pineapple. 2 penalties.
I noted the fact that Goldberg said very poor effort. I didn't think it was a poor effort. I mean, the guy is going out there. He's in the middle of his run and he's still swinging at these onions. He just didn't line it up well. And then Goldberg's like, it was a very poor effort. Okay,
race,
Goldberg.
He got a penalty for going out of order, but easily smashed through the ice. Goldberg says, you have to pay attention to the rules, too.
Exactly. And I made a note. This is the 3rd person in a row to not do the ice in the right order. Maybe something wasn't made clear to these guys before they went on the course.
How do they know the order? Is it marked on the floor?
They have to. I'm guessing they're telling them, like they do a run through of the course, probably. They have to tell them some sort of order and how to do it, like before they get to the course. Even though when they walk through that gate, that's supposed to be the first time they see it. There must be some way for them to know what the order is. Mm-hmm. And it obviously was not made clear here if the first 3 people up all were out of order. Just saying.
And then in Lifeline, utilizes great downward angled swings to cut all 3. Killshot only got through 2 straps. So we have another one stopped by Killshot. So far, my prediction is holding. I sound more excited about that. I want people to finish.
Then we have Bobby Cannon, who is an Army veteran and martial artist.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. And he brought what he called a clave, but they said in the weapon wrap-up screen that it was a Kukri Yatagan hybrid. It had a 20-inch blade, and it was made with horse stall mat handle, which we've said before. That seems like a pretty good material for that type of weapon because it's grippy and makes
Grippy
it
and squishy at the same time.
Yeah, it makes it easier to hold on to the blade. It's moderately sharp. It's obviously designed for slashing, but hasn't been tested for chopping. Travis likes the recurve shape and the edge geometry. He says it has a great weight and balance.
So this is the blade from which the episode title comes, we think? The recurve?
Well, this one, the other guy had a kukri as well. And if I remember correctly, the blade itself was made by a guy that was on Forge and Fire named David Mooneyham.
Oh,
they don't mention it in the episode, but it came up on the Facebook discussion group, so figured I'd mention it here. So Bobby moves on to the course for trifecta. He really utilized his whole body to create leverage when cutting through these things, and he took his time. And the way that he would do it is he would, like, as he was going down to swing, he was coming straight down, but he was also lifting a foot up and, like, stomping down with his whole body, leaning forward, bringing a lot of force down. He got through all three in about 34 seconds or so. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Then he moved on to box cutter. Took some time, setting it up. You're getting a lot of spinature on those boxes that you got to control, so he managed to get through both of them.
You're going to use that as much as you can now, huh?
Yes. And then
it's a word now.
Decapitator, he had a penalty on those onions. For thrice, he went in the correct order and got through all three. But so it was interesting that he knew to go in the correct order, and he was the fourth one going through the course that day.
He was the fourth one they showed going through the course.
Right.
We don't know when they actually go.
True. That's true. And, yeah. Anyway. So that's thrice. Lifeline. He went up, lined up his shots really well. And again, Tulane loves those angles. Loves those angles.
Angles are good things to love.
Mathematicians. Kill shot. He gets all the way through, including cutting through the last four with one swing.
Wow.
And he finishes the course.
So he's just defying all the things. He's going in the right order and making it to the end. I'm okay with that prediction being shot down.
And then I don't think he actually plunged his blade into the stump.
Just kind of placed it on top.
If I remember correctly. And then you can have the last one here.
Rochelle Hams.
Yes.
Bladesmith and blacksmith instructor at an outdoor survival school. Forged and Fire contestant.
Yep, she was a Forged and Fire contestant a couple seasons ago.
Did we watch that one?
No. I had never seen her before, so we have to catch up on that at some point.
Admittedly, we've only seen maybe half of all the episodes, and you are far ahead of me because you were researching for the grudge match.
Yes.
So she brought a Roman Gladius, it was made from 5160 steel, 20-inch blade length with a two-handed grip. It's very light, moderately sharp, and features a double-edged blade. Travis says the dynamics on this blade cut very well. The handle's a little small for his hand, but it's designed for her hand. So,
and at this point, she holds her hand out, and then Travis puts and does this, and it was about the same, the same difference. And he goes, "Oh, okay, now it makes sense."
So for a trifecta, it takes about a minute to get through all three. Box cutter swings with a ton of power into the corners of the boxes and gets through both boxes, but it looks a little winded. Decapitator, penalty on the onions, and penalty on the pineapple. Thrice goes in order, uses both sides of the blade, and delivers the heat to get through all three, but she's tired.
Yeah, you could tell by this point she was starting to look a little gassed.
Did they? Oh, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
The count. Lifeline easily slices through all three with downward angled slices, and Killshot only got through 2 straps. So Bobby was the only one to complete knife fight. So my prediction was close.
Yep, it was only one person to complete it.
So he is moving on to dead run, and Joel makes it to dead run with a run of 4 minutes and 1 second.
Yep.
What was Bobby's time? Do you remember?
No.
So he's through not simply, but because he made it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the fastest time of those who did not make it all the way through. So Bobby versus Joel. I have to pick. I usually go by whoever had the fastest time. And Joel made it pretty far because he got stuck.
He only
on
had
the end.
Yeah,
He
only
made
had
it to
a
the
few
end.
left there.
I'm gonna go with Joel, only because that's the only time I know. But I'm gonna go with Joel.
You're gonna go with Joel, even though Bobby got all the way through Knife Fight.
Yes, because Joel made it almost to the end. He was stuck by 3 ratchet straps.
Okay.
Who did you pick?
I also chose Joel.
Oh, you did?
I did, yes.
So the one time we don't watch the show together, we still pick the same guy.
Yep.
Okay.
And one other thing to mention, Joel was using his blade that was made by Jeremy Baintama of Bullseye Blades. And they've checked us out for a little while now, and they actually let us know, hey, make sure you're watching this episode. Our boy Joel's going to be on there.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. So, just wanted to get that in now. Before we go any farther, there was...
Was there another guy?
Another guy that was not featured in the episode, and I have him pulled up here. Let me get his information.
I'm glad we're paying attention to this now. It was a surprise at first.
Jason Mcpherson is the name of the guy that didn't get to go. And on Instagram, he is Mcpherson Knives, McPherson Knives. And you should check him out and keep an eye out for when his run eventually comes up on the History Channel website, because it seems strange the way that they've been doing this with cutting people off the show and mixing and matching. And it's weird. Mm-hmm. And there was somebody that got cut off the last episode too, and I did a little creative editing to get
that's right.
the other people that lined up for the screenshot, but I still didn't find out who that guy was. It's weird. But we move on to Dead Run.
So the Dead Run obstacles are gauntlet. From inside the circle on the platform, cut all objects in half.
In half.
Then we have Ball Buster, where we have cut 9 rolling balls in half.
In half.
Before they hit the floor. Then we have Flying Objects, cut the rope, release the meat, cut the meat, grill up some sweet, sweet steaks.
I like to put whatever, just add some little things in, because I know you're going to read it and just kind of say it and then realize what you're saying.
Like you're on Burgundy. So then we have Free Fall. Cut the fruit as it falls, much like Fruit Ninja. Fire and Ice, cut through 400-pound ice block to trigger the flames.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Crash Landing, cut completely through the flying targets before they zip past you, then destroy the crate to release the contents and find the red ball.
Yep.
Is that there this time?
Yep.
Okay. Then finally we have Firestorm, cut the ropes to release the stairs, climb the stairs, and end it with one final chop. Penalties are 20 seconds. So
you and I both picked Joel, which we just said. And Sean picks, who knows? We didn't ask him.
Yes. We were also not expecting to
I
do
will
this one.
retroactively give him points if he picks the right person.
Yes. Oh, good job not telling me who the right person was.
So I will take us through this first one here. Joel was up first. Gauntlet. He came in, he took his time, he moved with each target. This was one of the best runs I think I've seen going, at least starting off with Gauntlet. The way that he went with each one was that as they spun around, he stuck with one. He didn't jump around to all the different ones.
Because they kind of spin
They're,
this way. So
these are the ones where it's just 4 going around in a circle. Okay. He stuck with one, followed around the circle until he was done, moved on to the next. And it was, the tatami mat and pieces of wood, essentially. Mm-hmm. And he took his time, but he got through them all. It was quick and easy for the most part. Ball Buster. After his first few swings, he had 2 penalties, and he changed his swing to more of a like sideways baseball bat, except one-handed slice, and then he nailed him. He only got 2 penalties out of all of them. And hey, the red ball came back on this one. They had the red ball again. I don't know why I was missing last time, but it was there
Maybe
today.
They couldn't find it.
They lost the one red ball.
Well, I suppose they replenished them because they chopped them.
Yeah, they chopped them to pieces.
They forgot to paint it this time.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on. Flying targets. He did land 1 piece of meat on the grates, but he got 2 penalties. Free fall. Damn. No penalties.
That's tough.
Every single one of those fruit he cut. And instead of the cantaloupes this time, they had smaller watermelons.
Oh, okay.
So they had big watermelons and then baby watermelons falling, and he nailed all of them. He got every single one. Fire and ice, 2 strikes to get through the ice.
Wow. That's impressive.
It's good. And then crash landing, he had penalties on tubes. Like they had the plastic tubes coming down. He did not get through those all the way. And then he finished the course, went through Firestorm, and his tally ended up being overall 6 penalties. 6, right? Goldberg says it's a lot of penalties for this run. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking? What? 6 penalties?
That's not many.
That's not many at all. Like
13.
Yeah, there's been people on other episodes that have been into the teens multiple times. And you're going to say 6 is a lot of penalties? Come on, Goldberg.
That's like 1 for each thing, except that it was, not. All right.
And then we move on to Bobby Cannon.
Bobby. So for Gauntlet, takes his time, moves with each target instead of jumping between targets. Also, decimates them all. Ballbuster had 3 penalties.
Still not bad.
Flying targets landed 3, no penalties.
He got every single one to land on those grates. It was impressive.
Then Free Fall had 2 penalties on the tiny watermelons. Fire and Ice took 4 strikes. Still very nicely done. Crash Landing took his time walking between penalties.
Oh, between obstacles.
Okay.
Like between the different sections. So he was really like, he finished Gauntlet and then he just kind of sauntered over slowly to the next one. But this counts the overall time of you walking between it too.
The clock doesn't stop.
So he was not moving quickly between each one.
He was okay. He was like catching his breath. He missed the water bottle and 1 tube and incurred 2 penalties. And he seems very tired cutting the box.
Yes.
So overall, 7 penalties. Joel had 4 minutes and 43 seconds. And Bobby had 5 minutes and 48 seconds.
Yep.
So Joel wins.
Joel wins. You picked the right win.
I did.
You got another point.
You're trying to talk me out of it.
I wasn't trying to talk you out of it. I was
You're
just...
like, you sure? What, you want that one?
Okay, maybe I was trying to talk you out of it because I thought it'd be interesting, but you didn't bite. You went with your gut and you won. And so we move on to the magic word counts, and I took notes on some of the magic words this episode, some of the things that they said multiple times. Yep, you'll see. So the in half count was 2 times, so not as many. When Joel was going through the course, they said, this is a youthful kid. This kid's got the youth. He's 30.
Oh.
But he's like, he's so, Zach Gulick's too, I think is where I also heard it. Because he's 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
So between the 2 of them, they were like, youthful. Maybe they didn't say it as much for Joel, but they definitely said youth 4 times. And then I had to put in here some magic words. Spinacher, I still don't believe that's a word. And it was in the closed captionings, again, we're on. Spinacher was in quotation marks. That's why I also made a note about that. Another magic word, chingasso. Travis, is that really a thing? Or is that just your name for it? The little...
Don't look at me.
And then I like his angles. I love his angles. 2 times. And gassed 2 times.
Oh, okay.
So some of our staples from when we first started counting, those are still there.
I think we need to more pick like a word of the day. Each episode seems to have its own thing This one was the made-up words.
Spinacher and Chingasu. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I'm probably still going to keep count anyway for the next ones. So, our points going into this, you and I are still tied with 6 points now.
Yep.
We have picked the right winner in every episode so far.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Sean, we don't know who he picked for this episode. We will retroactively give him a point if he chose Joel.
Mm-hmm. We need to ask him before we.
Before I put this up, I'm going to have to ask him who he picks. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. But that's the episode.
Yeah.
Knife or Death wrap up. Season 2, episode 6. Don't fear the recurve. Good job, guys. It was a good episode.
That I look forward to watching retroactively.
Yeah, there was some stuff on it that was pretty cool. And remember to keep an eye out for Mcpherson Knives when his episode comes out. And I think that's it.
Yep. See you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Oh, hey, and don't forget, follow us on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. And don't worry about Twitter, but just follow, like, subscribe. If you listen to this on podcast version, like on iTunes or something, we know there are some of you out there because we get the stats. Some people are downloading this. It's not just me and Teresa who have it subscribed in our podcast app. Leave a review. A couple nice positive reviews goes a long way. It helps people see our show. And then if they see our show and that it has good reviews, they might actually download it themselves and help build the audience. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we will catch you next week.
Let's go find Spinacher. I am. SpinacherCenter.com. South Padre Island Dolphin Research.
Spinacher definition. Just do Spinacher definition.
Can we research dolphins?
You can, but later.
Spinacher definition. Oh, it asks me if I want signature definition. And then it immediately goes to signature. And it immediately puts me to define signature.
No definition for spinacher on word plays. I don't think it's a real word.